into the shadow realm!
Hey, has the hype died down yet? Is it alright to talk shit about this yet? No, of course it's never fine when it comes to anime of the season. There's always going to be those on the bandwagon that will blindly hate on anyone that so much as drops a hint of something negative about it. And there's always going to be the anti-bandwagoners that will jump on every little thing wrong with it and ram that down your throat. I, for one, was very happy to follow this bandwagon, although without the extremist approach, since, well, it's just an anime, bro. Anyway, I thought it was a pretty good show, and then episode 15 came out, and damn, I was absolutely sold. It went from good to fucking amazing. I love stuff that embraces despair, and this show just absolutely bathed in it. I've got to say, episode 15 and the subsequent climb out of that pit of despair that was episode 18 are some of the single best episodes of anime I've ever watched. Well, if only episode 18 wasn't ruined by one single line that turned it from heartwarming to inducing a fit of pure outrage. However, that doesn't mean that when the ending came around and they fucking whiffed it, I'm not about to turn a blind eye. Maybe my expectations just soared far too high to be realistically met, which made me feel let down by it. I mean, anime endings are pretty notorious for being complete shit. If they even have one, given the plethora of shows that don't actually end properly. But I don't know, the creators demonstrated how competent they are with everything previous to this, so I don't think I was asking too much for them not to fuck this up. But they did, and it was pretty sad to see a show that was actually deserving of its hype for once end up bowing out with the impact of a wet noodle. It was overly happy-go-lucky, forgetting about the despair that made the show so great previously, and absolutely trivializing the threat of the witch's cult, and ooh, this is gonna rustle some jimmies. It also shoehorned Amelia back into the limelight in the most cheap and frustrating way possible, which rubbed me the wrong way.
What that shit say?
Huh?
Yo, get the fuck out of here with that bullshit, man.
What's wrong with
Cops
it?
killing niggas every fucking day. You
What's
get the
What's
fuck
wrong?
out of here with that.
Dude, come on.
So, the ending was overwhelmingly positive. I have no problem with a positive ending, Cynikuu damn deserved it after all the shit he went through, but this ending was like almost 100% positive, with no major deaths, not even any side character deaths, and everything working out all cherry and rosy. The problem with this is, it absolutely trivializes all the despair from the previous episodes. All that he suffered to get here seems like a joke when we get this overly happy-go-lucky, no one dies, no one even gets injured, everything goes right ending. The overwhelming despair portrayed in episode 15, with everything dear to Subaru taken away from him, devastated by the mysterious menace of the witch's cult, becomes so hard to look back at and think, yeah, that was actually a pretty large threat. When you see this ending where they're just casually cutting down cult members in the background. Like, hey, it is good weather today, mate. Oh, yeah, it's good weather, eh? Good day today, sir. And Betelgeuse is just made a clown of. Like, Subaru's already forgotten that he's actually a psychopathic killer that brutally tortured and killed Rem right in front of him, and is going to tear apart Amelia's corpse just to taunt him. Just because his physical appearance looks like a clown doesn't mean he is one. I mean, he's consistently demonstrated how chilling of a villain he really is behind that ludicrous exterior. You might want to still treat him like a murderer. Even with all the resets and learning the enemy's plan, it's still going to come down to a fight, and if this cult and the big boss are as menacing as earlier episodes portrayed them to be, you're going to get casualties, but no main or even side characters die. There are a lot of side characters introduced in this arc that are given just enough screen time to develop a personality enough so that the viewer gives a little bit of a shit about them. That would have been the perfect fodder to kill off just to show the gravity of the situation, that this is still incredibly dangerous and could turn on them the moment Subaru makes the wrong move. But nope, none of them die. Not even most of the random no-name soldiers die. I mean, you see a few lying on the ground off screen, but other than that, the allies get off scot-free. How did the complete decimation of the village and estate turn into this happy-go-lucky ending with no meaningful casualties whatsoever? I'm going to compare this to Dark Souls because it's basically Dark Souls the anime. When you first defeat a boss in Dark Souls, generally it was a pretty damn hard battle. You've failed countless times before, and this time you finally scrape through with your Estus completely drained and a sliver of health left. Basically the first one is usually a hard battle with a lot of damage taken. Only after beating the boss over and over again on new games do you get it down so that you can easily do it with minimal damage. The thing is, ReZero skipped from fighting the boss before you've beaten it, right to that stage when you've done it 100 times or so. It didn't go through that epic first win. The first clear didn't scrape through with lots of losses taken and a hard battle fought to the bitter end where they just won. It went from getting beaten over and over again to suddenly flawless victory. and because of this, that victory felt really cheap, and the despair that was portrayed earlier is just absolutely trivialized. A good counter analogy to this would be that it's like soloing a boss compared to summoning allies. Since he summoned allies, it makes it a lot easier. Only he still resets multiple times with those allies already summoned, so while it still holds some relevance, because even on those failed resets, it looks like it's certainly less difficult than when he went through it solo, those resets were still pretty damn gory compared to the flawlessly happy ending, because on those iterations, side characters actually died. Hashtag rip sloth man killed by sloth, hashtag sloth best sloth. Maybe my expectations were too high. I was expecting casualties because I was really hoping for Subaru to go through some more mental anguish for this. Imagine this, he's getting other people involved in his business, and some of them are going to die, so how is he going to deal with that? When he finally defeats his enemies and saves Amelia, is he going to look back at all the dead people and judge whether their lives are worth enough to reset again and try and save them? Or because they're not as important to him as the main characters, is he going to accept them as necessary sacrifices because he doesn't want to risk resetting again with all the unknowns that entails, and possibly not be able to reach this level of success again? How much would that fuck with his head? I was really hoping for some huge dilemma about this, some mental anguish deciding between the lives of strangers who he involved in his own affairs, or risking the lives of those he cares about the most to try and save those strangers as well. So where did this demise of despair start from? I would say from the episode after the whale split. We get this overwhelming sense of despair when it splits, like they were having such problems with one whale, how on earth are they going to beat 3? It seems unfathomable. But then they do it pretty easily. Or, well, not easily, but relatively quickly. I know that the combat power of each whale was divided, but it seems really cheap how smoothly it goes after that split. Even so, it's still a tough battle, and there are clear casualties that the show actually emphasizes, these being especially brutal in that their very existences were erased. So while it seems like the despair has been toned down a bit, it's still there. Then we come to the incident with Ram. Oh shit, she's attacking them. What is going on? She thinks they're at war. How many is she going to kill before she realizes that isn't the case? Turns out this is just straight, unadulterated, unapologetic cliffhanger bait. It's cleared up instantly in the next episode. Nothing bad happens from it. Now again, this is justifiable because it's Ram, not Rem. She's a lot more level-headed than her sister. She doesn't just kill people because they look a little bit suspicious. She does seem more like the type to actually confirm things before taking action. So yeah, okay, it's alright not to have dark shit happen here. Though I'm still annoyed at that cliffhanger bait. Anyway, it's the next moment that really signifies how much the show deviated from the despair theme in its ending. Subaru gets possessed and they have to put him down, and holy shit, it's sad because everything was going great just to all crumble down at the last moment. Felix's attachment to Subaru and his anguish over such terribly cruel circumstances just make the scene that much more powerful. We're back in it, a beautiful pit of despair. How is he going to get around this one? It's such an ambiguous thing. Subaru doesn't know jack shit about magic, so he doesn't know how this is done or how to combat it. Is it because of the book, or because he's so close to the witch, or can Betelgeuse just possess anyone with a weak enough mind? How many times is he going to have to get so close to his goal only to get cock-blocked like this before he figures out a way to around it? Or is it going to drive him insane first? Yes, all these opportunities for more great despair. Oh, I think I can get possessed too. Haha. Are you fucking kidding me? That's the solution? Haha, how inconvenient. I could get possessed and you'd have to kill me then. What a mild inconvenience. Anyone got any solutions to that? Oh yeah, I do. Okay, fucking sweet. That's out of the way then. Let's go do this thing. What a fucking waste. So much potential was squandered right then and there, and this was just the start of the happy-go-lucky, everything goes right theme until the end of the series. We finally arrive at the main boss, the final showdown, the insane psychopath wielding strange and powerful magic that killed everyone Subaru cared about, the heinous cultist Archbishop of Sin Betelgeuse. The final big boss battle, the time for revenge that you have been waiting for since episode 15. What does this bastard motherfucker have coming to him? How can he be overcome? How can he be defeated? He gets punched in the face and sucked into, get this, a wagon wheel. Yes, you heard that right, a wagon wheel. A fucking wagon wheel. You know that thing on a wagon that goes around and around to allow it to move across the ground? Yeah, that thing. A wagon wheel. It just sounds so ridiculous saying it. I can't even believe it myself. A fucking wagon wheel. The final boss got defeated by a fucking wagon wheel. What are you doing? What the fuck is this? If this is not the most lazy writing, the most convenient circumstance that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, the most insulting way to end your final boss battle the audience has been waiting for the last 10 episodes that I've ever seen, I'll fuck this trap. I don't care. I'll fucking fuck this trap. I'll rail that boy pussy, man. I'll pretend it's not gay and fucking pound that shit 6 inches deep. Because this is so fucking bad. I don't know how this fucking wagon wheel was what whoever made this thought would be a good idea to defeat your final fucking boss with. This is a joke, right? Oh, this This has to be a practical joke on everyone watching this, right? That was so good up until now that they just had to decide to pull this on us, right? Or maybe it's just a ploy to sell the Blu-rays. Yeah, okay. They're going to pull in our ammo and put the actual ending in the Blu-rays, right? Because this can't be serious. I mean, please, fucking please. I can't take this. A wagon wheel. A fucking wagon wheel. Oh my god. Today, we are searching for the strongest entity in the world of ReZero. Could it be this mysterious Lolly, who is said to have absolute power within the areas she is contracted to? Or perhaps this eccentric homosexual clown who is said to be the strongest magician in the land? Could it be this master swordsman who could cleave the very heavens with his blade? Or this enigmatic creature who may look cute on the outside but harbors the power to topple heads with a mere fart? Perhaps it is even the mysterious witch, a being that lurks in the background but whose machinations control everything as if playing chess with the very fabric of reality. Nay, it is something much more common than you may think. They are everywhere, lurking through the city in plain sight, something you encounter every day, yet you will never know the true menace of until you are pulled into its unfathomable depths. It is the humble wagon wheel, a simple tool on the outside, but which within its spinning axles harbors a deep and dark black hole that will pounce on anything that ventures too close. Any unlucky soul to be caught by this vortex will be sucked into the abyss, never to be seen again. Whether that be the mere cart driver, unwary of the terror he frolics with every day, or the mighty archbishop of the most menacing cult in the land, or even perhaps is where the elusive dragon itself vanished to, sucked into those dark constellations. Oh, Amelia. This is going to be rough. I can just feel the hive of weebs stirring now, the fans of Queen Amelia be swarming about, ready to pounce as soon as I so much as touch her. I'm sorry, I'm gonna say it right here and now, and if you're mad, just go ham in the comments, just rip into me all you want, I really don't mind. Your Amelia are shit. Amelia was one of the main reasons, to me at least, that the ending and other parts throughout the show were such a letdown. This is for several reasons that I'll get into, from her being a literal walking plot device, to being a pretty normal and mundane character in comparison to the others in the show, to being absolutely forced on the viewer and shoehorned in at the end. It creates this huge dissonance between who the show shows us is the main character, not her, and who it tells us is, her. Okay. Now, I'm in no way biased here, not biased at all. I'm a Ram fan. I think Ram is best girl subjectively, because I fucking love coos, and I don't know, there's just something about being roasted in a monotone voice that is fucking appealing. I mean, Ram is cool and is probably objectively best girl because of all the shit she goes through for Subaru, but I like Ram the most because subjectivity is a thing. Yeah, I know, amazing, right? Ram can ram my ass any day. Anyway, I just want to make it clear, I'm not going to shit all over Amelia just because she is Ram's rival. Couldn't care less about that. No. It doesn't matter that Ram and Ram are a set pace, like chips and salt or chicken and gravy. That doesn't matter, man. I ain't biased at all. Not biased at all. Oh, definitely no bias here. I should just be clear though, if you like Amelia, that's perfectly fine, bro. You can like whoever you want. I'm just going to point out some things about her character and the way her character was used in the story that added to its mediocrity. I would say it's not an attack on her personal character, so don't worry, but it actually is in some parts, so sorry about that. My bad. Okay, so one of the first things that contributes to Amelia letting down the show is that she is a walking plot device. This isn't blaming Amelia's character so much, but more how the story treats her. She is a walking plot device, and a passive one at that. She doesn't actively go out and seek action, it all just comes to her due to her very existence. She is selected as one of the candidates, and because of that she becomes a target, and ooh, we have plot. Then Subaru comes to her and then succeeds to do everything he does merely because she exists. He imprints onto her like 99.999% of anime protagonists do to the first girl they interact with that looks to give the slightest shit about, and then sucks her dick for the rest of the anime because of the littlest thing she did for him. This is then used to justify everything else he does, against all the mental anguish and hardship he goes through. It's all just for this tiny little thing she did for him at the beginning. At first it's fine, sure, but as the anime goes on and this is still used as his main motivator, when the revenge motivation would have been much stronger given this face, which, oh, by the way, is also eventually forgotten and turned into this mockery of the feelings he used to have because, oh right, he's motivated by his love for Amelia because she did that tiny thing for him, and not mainly because he wants to get the guy back that murdered everyone he loved. Not only is it lazy, it just feels so cheap because there are other characters that arise that deserve the devotion so much more and actually show that they deserve it by dying for him over and over again, not just making a little stop in an alleyway to scare some fucking muggers. Yes, Ram, I'm looking at you. The show fucking shafted her. Like, hey, you sacrificed your life like 5 times for him? No, man, this bitch scared away some muggers, yo. That's way more worthy. It also doesn't help that the show parades this motivation around like it's the strongest thing in the fucking book. It gives no excuses for how flimsy it is. It just thinks so much of this motivation that it doesn't need to give any excuse. You know how John Wick kills like 100 different people because they killed his dog, and some people found that maybe he was going a little bit over the top? Yeah, that is your excuse here, except the dog wasn't your wife's dying gift. It was a fucking random cat that hissed at some bullies that were eyeing you up or something. It's fine to use this justification for a bit, but it's just so obnoxious when you arrive at the end of the show 24 episodes later and that's still the excuse that you're flaunting around as if it's the best fucking excuse in the book. What I'm trying to say is that just by Amelia being there and the story treating her how it does, a plot device to revolve around with the most minimal justification it can get away with, I get this feeling that the whole thing is just really cheap. I don't know. Still, the show has to move forward. Okay, whatever. You have this cheap plot device, but it works to move events along so that you can spend more time on the events themselves and not explaining why or how the events are happening in the first place. Okay, I forgive this. But this isn't the only problem with Amelia. Oh no, there's more. And this next one isn't even the main point. It's just my personal pet peeve about her. And I know this is going to rustle some jimmies, so just giving Amelia fans a trigger warning right here and now. The following section is personal opinion. No wait, this entire video is personal opinion, but whatever. This next section is super personal opinion. That is, in my opinion, Amelia's personality is shit. No, I'm just being a cunt. It's not shit, it's just average. Normal. She's a surprisingly normal girl, what with being a half-elf in a fantasy world who's been subject to severe discrimination her entire life. But hey, there's nothing wrong with normal characters. It can be a nice focal point to compare all your other eccentric characters to. Only you already have someone filling this role here. Subaru, the normal guy from another world coming in and interacting with the eccentric characters of this world. And his interactions with these characters are by far some of the best parts of the show. But when your main character that he's going to be spending most of his time with is fairly normal, it makes a lot of your scenes more stale than they could be in comparison with these other reactions, because he's interacting with another normie rather than the other super interesting, unique, extreme characters. A lot of your show is therefore going to be a spectacularly resounding meh, with your viewers looking forward to the scenes of side characters more than the ones between main characters because they're more interesting and exciting. That's the way I found myself looking at it anyway. Anime is so great and iconic because it can take character traits to the extremes, and with those extreme characters interacting with each other, you get some of the most entertaining scenes possible. I fucking love it how anime can just flamboyantly display such a variety of personalities that are muted down in the real world. There are so many prime examples of this here. You got your gothic, giant, forehead, lolly magician girl, the Oni that roasts people with words rather than the classical sense of roasting, best girl, your token boys love guy for all the fujoshis, fairy bait, for the toddler cons, the fairy toddler cons. I don't even know what to say about these fucking little rat things. Hey, and the greatest character of them all, the glorious Trap. Everyone loves traps. Why isn't Ferris main girl? Yeah, girl, because until you take those panties off, you can't confirm what's underneath. That, my friend, is the ultimate allure of the Trap. Don't care about what she herself says. Yuki exists, so we know you can never trust these elusive beings. I call it Schrodinger's panties. You don't know if there's a dick under them or not until you take them off. So until that moment, which will never come because, 2D and all, can't touch them, there could just as equally be no dick under them. So let your imagination go wild. Well, I guess there's nothing wrong with being gay. Anyway, other than all these other characters, we finally get to Little Miss Normie. No, I really have to give the show credit. It really did what it could with this character. There were some pretty good scenes with her here. I just think more good scenes could have been done if they spiced her character up a bit, or if they used a different one, one more deserving. Like the lap pillow scene. That was damn good. Too bad it was completely overshadowed by episode 18, which was basically the same scene but on a much grander scale with a much more interesting character. And oh yeah, that line, "The me that exists in your head must be amazing," was a fucking beautiful piece of literature. Too bad it was negative, so it didn't exactly help us in liking her character. And oh yeah, that beef was completely forgotten about and brushed over later anyway. So that line never amounted to anything significant happening. There's another criticism I should mention. What happened to the argument between these two? He does shit without her asking and publicly humiliates her and she gets mad at him. Okay, fair enough. So she leaves and that starts the entire fuckfest that is this arc. But then he solves this by doing more shit without her asking, and she's not mad at that. What are your standards, Amelia? Is the problem him doing shit without you asking, or rather the end result? Because if it was the former, you should still be mad at him, which you clearly aren't. And if it's the latter, and it's fine, he does shit without you asking if it saves your life, you're just getting pissy at him earlier for embarrassing you. Okay, nice shallow character you got there. Everyone loves one of those. I was hoping that they would argue it out over this point, like another entire episode of them verbally duking it out or something. This show has proven that it's capable of some fucking masterful dialogue, so I was really hoping they would take us on another emotional roller coaster as these two fought it out until they made up with each other. But no, it's just glossed over because he saved her life. Alright, that's cool and all, and it does make sense. I mean, people are generally pretty stoked if you save their life, but it just makes your character look super fucking petty for her previous actions. Anyway, when you have such a plethora of other characters that exemplify a huge range of the extreme personalities that make anime so great, but decide that the main one is going to be mundanely normal in comparison, it feels so stale and like a huge waste of potential. It's a funny paradox because all these other characters can be categorized into specific personality traits or physical traits that are so specific that they have an associated personality type defined alongside them. So you would think that since Amelia seems kind of hard to categorize, she must be just so complex that it's too hard to do that. Unfortunately, it's the opposite way around. She's so whitewashed and bland, without really any well-defined character traits apart from being a nice girl, that she doesn't really fit into any of these because she's got so little character altogether. Okay, so that was all a bit mean. In the spirit of equality, let's roast Rem a bit too, just to even it out. I mean, all best girls are equal, right? Holy fuck no, but let's do this anyway. Rem, mate, you jump to conclusions a bit too fast. I mean, most people don't usually knock someone's brain out before asking them what they're doing in the hallway at night. Maybe he was just looking for the restroom. What else? You might be a tad bipolar too, of how fast you go from wanting to cut his dick off to wanting to stuff it down your throat. Maybe go a bit easy on the psychotic diehard fellow at Act 2. You're also a massive cuck, because you seem pretty happy to let him chase after some other woman. Okay, so enough of the ad hominems, let's get into the meat of it. The main reason Amelia's character, and the way the show uses her character, lets down the ending. After not seeing much of her for the majority of the arc, and arguably the best parts of the show, she is shoehorned back in for the ending rather obnoxiously, as by doing this a certain someone else is thrown away into the background, never to be seen of or mentioned again. The ending very clearly gives us Amelia as the main girl and throws Rem into obscurity. It is literally telling us that it is Amelia we should be caring about, not Rem, and it is really fucking pushy about this. What with its super final touching scene with Amelia and literal forgetting of the existence of Rem. To add insult to injury, the reconciliation scene with Amelia afterwards takes place in almost the exact same place with the lap pillow position as the touching scene with Rem after the whale fight did. It's just the anime is literally trying to overwrite her. It's fucking taping over her presence with Amelia. Just patch that up. No, forget about her. She's done. She's gone. Go on, boys. It's Amelia now. At least be a little more subtle if you want us to forget her. Now, before I get into this further, I need to mention that yes, I know what happened to Rem. After being partially spoiled by the Who's Rem memes, I looked on ahead so that I could be confident I know what the fuck I'm talking about. And yes, fuck you guys who are posting Who's Rem memes. They're funny the first time around because they weren't a fucking web novel spoiler that was being posted on anime relevant stuff. Oh, this is such a funny meme. No, it's just a spoiler. You're being an asshole. No one likes spoilers. You could argue that it's ambitious enough that it's not that bad, but because it mimics when the meme first came out after she got devoured by the whale, it gives enough of an idea to be a pretty devastating spoiler because the anime doesn't give any of that information. The anime doesn't focus on what happened to her whatsoever, doesn't even allude to it whatsoever. You'd need to look into it very closely to get any idea of something going wrong. For example, looking into why the letter would be blank or why Ram doesn't mention her beloved other half at all might tip you off. But other than this, the anime doesn't focus on this whatsoever to indicate that these points are actually important and not just flaws in the writing. The fact that they might just be flaws in the writing is important because the anime literally forgets about her and never mentions her again because it wants to force us to accept Amelia so badly. So it very well could just be something that was overlooked by the makers. It also is a spoiler because no information in the anime indicates that this is still possible. That information comes from the spoiler, not the anime itself. So if you're going on just clues the anime gives you, you probably aren't going to conclude the same thing as the spoilers indicate, because according to the information we've been given in the anime so far, this isn't possible. Well, maybe this is all just some majestic, elaborate marketing. The creators of the show literally forgot about Rem to mimic what has actually happened to her. But no, unfortunately, that doesn't work because one, you have a character in your show that shouldn't have forgotten about her, and after how important she has proven to be to him, really should spend at least one fucking scene worrying about what could have gone wrong. And two, your in-story plot doesn't affect your viewers. We certainly haven't fucking forgot about her, and you're insulting us by treating us as if we will. She was by far the character you developed the most, and then she just falls off the face of the earth, and you force Amelia and expect us to forget her? No, you don't do that. We're not just going to forget. We're not going to be happy and cheery and, oh yeah, I'll just accept that. No, fuck off. And really, you could have easily dedicated just one scene to indicate what happened in story to show that, as creators, you haven't forgotten about her. For example, the show fucking loves cliffhangers. You could have easily put a cliffhanger of what happens to her so that you have the perfect bait for season 2, but you don't even do that. I'm not saying I like cliffhangers, but holy shit, this show had enough of them that I'm honestly surprised it didn't do that. The only thing I can think of why is because Emilia. Completely overwrite Rem's existence with Emilia. Don't even give Rem a tiny shred of screen time in the entire ending arc to give the chance of viewers remembering her. Just gotta ram that Emilia down our throats. Well, you done fucked up making that character you want us to forget the best girl in your show, because we care about that character, not your overly forced super touching reunion scenes with Emilia. Okay, now finally getting to the main point of this entire section. Why is this so drastic and making the ending so fucking frustrating? Well, there is a timeless classical rule in storytelling that says, show, don't tell. That is, you show your reader or viewer something, you don't just tell them. For example, if you want a character to be funny, you show that they're funny by making them do something funny or say some funny shit. You don't just say in your description of that character, he's a funny guy. That's cheap and it really doesn't magically make your character funny. You have to show that they're funny. This is one of the main differences between good storytelling and shit storytelling. Why am I telling you this? Well, because ReZero fucks this up. There is a distinct difference between who the show shows us as the main grill and tells us as the main grill. From the start of the second act all the way until the end of the whale fight, it begins developing Rem's character and focusing on how she turns from an enemy into the strongest of allies. While this isn't the most complex character development, it is still good character development and has a significant amount of focus placed on it. Rem's character is tied directly into Subaru's lowest lows and his highest highs. I'm going to say episode 15 and 18 respectively, which are the best parts of your show. So throughout most of the show, it is clearly showing us that Rem is the main grill, but in the end, it suddenly shoves Emilia back in our faces and tells us, hey, you remember this girl from the beginning? Yeah, this is the main grill. No, not that one we've just spent most of the show building up her character and creating a bond with. Who cares about that one? Her arc is over and done with now. This is the main grill. This is the one whose dick you gotta suck. Oh yeah, of course. Emilia is definitely deserving of being the main grill. That's why the anime did such a good job to develop and support her and make everyone love her, right?
A kick.
You don't get these results out of nowhere. I think they indicate pretty well who the viewers think the main girl should be. Anyway, this divide between the ending of the show and what the show has previously described creates some pretty significant cognitive dissonance between who the viewer thinks of as the main girl due to what the show showed them and who the show tries to tell the viewer to think of as the main girl, because that's the way it decides to end. It really just leaves a bad taste in your mouth and makes all these ending scenes overly forced and cheap. They just come off as obnoxious. Now, I see people defending Emilia with stuff like, oh, she's getting developed later on. Like they even put little meme errors like expecting character development in 3 arcs out of an 11 arc series. Oh yeah, you got me there, mate. Fuck, what am I expect? The main girl to have character development at some point in the 24 episodes of anime you have to work with? No, fuck, I'm delusional. I mean, they didn't do a damn good job of this with a different character or anything, right? It's just impossible. Fuck off. Of course I expect character development of your main fucking character. If it was a side character, sure, fine, they're supplementary, they can have development arcs later on, or even not at all. They're not so important, that's why they're side characters. So your main fucking character? Yes, I expect development if you want me to give a shit about them. Honestly, I really liked Rem's character, but the show would have probably had better internal consistency and avoided a lot of these problems if it spent the time it did developing Rem on Emilia instead, because it clearly wants Emilia to be the main character. Why develop a side character so much more than your main character that the side character becomes more of a main character than the one you want to be the main character if you're just going to throw them away for the ending and go back to this now underdeveloped main character that is by now, after all the side character development, only the main character by title alone. Alternatively, you could have just gone through with it and changed the main character from Emilia to Rem. It would have made sense and be much more earned and justified than what you ended up with. And while yes, it goes away from traditional storytelling methods, it's still a viable method. I mean, other shows have done it pretty well. Rock no Yusha comes to mind as the clearest example of this. It was a pretty decent show that started out with Nashitania as the clear main girl, but then gradually shifted to Fremi throughout the show. And this is tied in really well to the plot and twist it ended up with. Other shows have done this. Something else that comes to mind is Madoka Magica. It's not as clear as Rock no Yusha, but it still kind of does it. Like at the start, it's clear that Madoka is the main character, but as the show progresses, Homura gets more and more important to the plot until she is pretty much overshadowing Madoka herself and becomes more of a main character than her, or at least an equal. Anyway, by the end of the show, she is intimately intertwined with the plot and main character. She isn't just suddenly ditched into obscurity in the last few episodes. And this is a fucking amazing show, alright? Not a bad, cheap show. Unfortunately, ReZero didn't do this. Probably due to the fact that it would fuck it over if it wanted to adapt to the rest of the web novel. So I guess this is a conundrum that stems from the web novel. I'd love to criticize the source material for creating all this shit, but I haven't read it, so I can't. It may handle all this much better and be a lot less obnoxious about it than the anime. All I can do is discuss what I have seen from the anime, so despite where the problems stem from, it is the end result that I am critiquing. The fact that the anime developed Rem so much that she pretty much became the main girl, then bitched out and did a 180 right back to the main girl it started with, just put me off so much and creates this huge cognitive dissonance that just makes the ending frustrating to watch. Hey, thanks for watching my video, hope you enjoyed it. This was by no means a review, it was merely a discussion on my opinions on the ending of Re:Zero and the reasons why I have those opinions. If you disagree, cool, you can have your own opinion. And if you want to dispute any of my points, feel free to share that opinion in the comments. I certainly don't think I'm 100% right about everything, and there's a shitload of subjectivity in there, so I'm expecting a lot of contrasting opinions. If your points are especially strong, I might even make a video on them. I'm open to dispute. Anyway, thanks for watching, don't take this video too seriously, I was over-exaggerating a lot, and I still love the anime, I just wish the ending could have been done a bit better. If you like the video, keep an eye out for more because I'll be doing a new video every week. Subscribers get to play some fun Twister with Rem. 1 like equals 1 spin, and you're gonna need a lot of spins to outmaneuver her because, as you can see, she's pretty damn flexible. I'm so sorry, don't hurt me.
And this is to go even further beyond!
Lasses 心臓の音